Hello, Chris Kress here. Before this video starts, I want to urge you, the viewer, to stick around and watch this video till the end. This is the first time I've ever edited or scripted any video whatsoever. Heck, I didn't even know what Premiere Pro was until the making of this video. The editing quality on this video naturally gets better as it progresses. So, it would really make my day if you took the time to watch it till the very end. Also, my mic gets better later on. Okay, bye!
Elden Ring. I love this game. Ever since the trailer dropped 6 months before it released, I patiently waited for months. Was it worth it? Hell yeah. This game is amazing. It's gorgeous, it's challenging. Overall, it's just so cool. I could go on and on, but let's get straight to the point. Before starting this run, I'd already have completed the game 3 times. So I was thinking to myself, what do I do? Then I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw these challenge runs. They were like Elden Ring with torch only, or shield only, or pacifist only. I thought, hey, that looks super cool. I should do that. So this is what I came up with. The weapon skill only run. But I thought to myself, that would be way too easy if I could just use any weapon skill. So I set myself some ground rules. 1. I can only deal damage using weapon skills, meaning no spells, no summons, only weapon skills. 2. I can only use weapon skills that are found in its respective region, meaning in Limgrave, I can only use the weapon skills that I found in Limgrave, and in Liurnia, I can only use the weapon skills found in Liurnia, and so on. 3. No glitches. No glitches or skips will be used in this run. We're going glitchless, baby. We all good? Great. Let's begin. To start off the run, I named myself TP the Skillful, because I'm only going to be using weapon skills. As for what TP stands for, I actually have no clue. I chose the Confessor class as it had the best overall stats, and in my opinion, the best drip out of all the starting classes. I started out the run like any other would, and made my way down to the Grafted Scion, and promptly jumped off a cliff. I then spawned at the hero's grave and quickly made my way to the glorious world that was ahead of me. I met up with Vare just to get called Maidenless. Goddamn, dude. I then dashed straight past 3 Sentinel and made my way to the Gatefront Ruins, where I would finally find the stuff I needed to kickstart this run.
Have you heard? They serve but you. I can turning to aid you. You need to the foot. Then it's summon me. I bequeath.
Nice.
After talking to Melina and gaining the ability to level up, plus a free horse, things were finally starting to move. I nabbed the Lord Sworn Greatsword, the weapon that I would use for the majority of this run, grabbed the Wet Blade for applying weapon skills, and went up to the front of the Stormvale Castle to receive my first Ash of War, Wild Strikes.
Oh my god!
Now that I could finally start attacking stuff, I spent the better part of an hour grinding bosses, leveling up, yoinking items, upgrading my items as much as I could, and collecting golden seeds and sacred tears. And with this, I was finally ready to challenge the first main boss, Margit.
Foul tarnished. Emboldened by the flame of ambition. Someone must extinguish thy flame. Let it be Margit the Fell.
I already beat this guy so many times. I bet I'll one-try him. try that again. Honestly, this fight wasn't all too bad. In fact, it actually went really well. It only took me 2 attempts. Not too much to say about it, really. As for my weapon skill, though, it was really decent considering that it was the first weapon skill that I picked up. It had a nice amount of damage, relatively low FP cost, and you can even attack cancel with it. I was starting to think that this run was going to be easy, but I couldn't be more wrong. But for now, enjoy the rest of the fight as I wreck this fool. Now, with no mid-game smurf standing in my way, ahem, Melina invited me to the Cool Kids Club. It was cool, but I didn't stay for too long. I then went searching for more upgrade material, got the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation, returned to the club and upgraded my weapons to +6, and now it was time for Godric.
Ah, yes, the Lord of all that is grafted. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for the shitty gameplay that you're about to witness. For some reason, I practically got hit by what feels like every single attack. I would have liked to show you guys a more clean victory, but he just went down in one attempt, so I didn't exactly have much to work with. Anyways, here's the rest of the fight.
I am the Lord of all that is golden.
Now that that's been taken care of, let's move on to the next region. Well, that was fun, but you know the rules. We have reached another region, and thus it was time to say goodbye to Wild Strikes. First order of business. I immediately set my sights on my first point of interest, Carrier Manor, where I would find my next weapon skill. But before that though, I made a quick detour sneaking past a certain dragon and nabbed a key for later. I then continued my route towards the manor, got to the entrance and made a right turn. And there it was, the legendary, the Frosty, the speedrun machine, Hoarfrost Stomp.
Wow!
Now that I had my weapon skill, I could have immediately head straight towards the main boss. But before that, I wanted to explore a little bit. You know, enjoy the game a little. So I went around town stomping bosses left and right, as well as collecting goodies along the way. Hoarfrost Stomp was overall pretty good. Though not as great as it used to be, it still packed quite a punch. Alright, that was fun. But now let's get back to the main path. Ah yes, the Sif knockoff. All damage, no HP. I bet this will be a piece of cake. Wait, no way that just... Nah, I'm tripping, that can't be. Oh. Well, shit. Alright, so what happened in this moment? I'll tell you what happened. Since Hoarfrost Stomp does frost buildup, and since frost is associated with magic, plus the fact that we are literally in the magic continent of the lands between, the main bosses would be by proxy highly resistant to magic damage. Thus, unless I actually want to do damage, I'd have to go find myself a new weapon skill. But how will I know where to look? Whenever in doubt, use the wiki.
Okay, so around the time of creating this part of the video, I got myself a better mic, so I'll start talking more from now on. Alright, time for a rematch with the big bad wolf. Now that I could finally do good damage, this fight was a breeze. The weapon skill that I chose for this fight was Giant Hunt. It had pretty slow wind up, but it more than made up for it with its damage. Though it was initially hard to land a hit, due to the glass cannon nature of this boss, through some careful dodging and a couple of heavy thrusts later, the red wolf went down with not much effort at all. After this, I didn't plan on keeping Renala waiting too long, so I ran up there to meet her. Her first phase was... as you'd expect. Her second phase though...
Nope. Nope.
was mildly infuriating. This fight mostly consisted of me running to the side and baiting openings to punish. My weapon skill would often send her flying upwards, momentarily leaving herself open for yet another attack. Since most of her spells could easily be avoided by running left or right, it wasn't too hard dodging most of her attacks. Another thing to mention was greed. I really needed to be patient and take my time with this fight. Usually after casting a spell, she would leave a small opening for me to get in and punish. But don't be fooled. Sometimes you think you'd have an opening, but in reality, she just dodged backwards, leaving you vulnerable for a few seconds. And those few seconds could mean life or death. By the time she starts using summons, lure them a good distance away and run right back to Renala, and the summon should probably disappear before even reaching you. A little bit later, she summoned the dragon to aid her, but using the same tactics as before, I easily avoided the beast, got some good hits on the queen, and secured myself the W. With the main boss now defeated, it was now time to move on to the next region. I hopped on Torrent and headed north to the Ravenveiled village, quickly making my way up and grabbing loot along the way. Then bumped into the magma worm, killed it, and took the final elevator up. Altus Plateau, a land dyed gold by the radiance of the Earth Tree. And with the capital over the horizon, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially entered mid-game. You probably know by now, but new regions mean new weapon skills. But before that, I instinctively ran straight to the capital and past the Doubletree Sentinels to collect the absolute abundance of golden seeds. Second on the list, get a weapon skill. This time though, I've learned my lesson. I've decided to pick up 3 weapon skills instead of 1. So that if I were to hit a wall, I would have more options at my disposal. The 3 weapon skills I decided to get were... Shut up, you saw nothing. Lightning Ram, the Golden Booty Slam, and Lightning Slash. Third on the list was to collect all sacred tears and golden seeds possible for increased healing effectiveness. We ready? Alright, let's go beat some bosses. Along the way, I bumped into Margit again. Having already beaten him before, I overestimated myself and got humbled more times than I would like to admit. Though it wasn't too hard, this made me fear what was ahead of me. Moving on, time to meet up with the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Basically Tree Sentinel's cooler, older brother. This boss is what I like to call the first HP check in the game. His hits deal massive amounts of damage and is even further strengthened during his second phase. That can straight up one-shot. But if I could just get the timing right, I think that I might just be able to pull it off. Okay, I stand by my case, but that was a pretty good first try though. This seems doable, right? You know what? I think I'll come back later. I know I could have spent a few more hours grinding the Draconic Tree Sentinel, and I'd probably kill him. But at the time, I didn't feel like it. So I've decided to return once I've leveled up a little bit more. Naturally, since we'll be touring the glorious lands of Caelid, we'll need to get ourselves another weapon skill. I decided to try out the Flame of the Red Mane's weapon skill. I heard great things about it. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. Alright. Not bad damage, but is that all it can do? Oh. 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 Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I think I know what people mean now. Not only did it have pretty decent damage and range, most notably, it deals massive amounts of posture damage. Using this weapon skill, I was practically stunning and poise breaking bosses left and right. Practically just farming bosses. As of patch 1.04, I heard that the range and damage of this weapon skill were even further buffed, making it even more effective. Speaking of patch 1.04, since I had already beaten the game and finished the recording of the gameplay right before the end of patch 1.03, I couldn't help but imagine how differently this run could have panned out, as there have been many notable buffs to a large selection of weapon skills. Such a shame, eh? Anyways, back to the video. Now that I think about it, I could probably use this to kill Radahn. Okay, so here's what happened. Firstly, at the time of this recording, they had just rebuffed Radahn, so that didn't help much. Secondly, even though I did a pretty decent amount of damage and broke his stance semi-frequently, the cast speed of this weapon skill was just a tiny bit too slow, and the flames would often barely miss him. But after an hour's worth of attempts, I think that it was finally time for that rematch with the Tree Sentinel. Alright, let's try this again. Now that's more like it. During my rematch, this fight proved to be much more manageable. Due to my increased HP and damage, I could take more of his hits as well as dish out more damage in return. Even so, I got greedy and this fight still took me a few attempts. But eventually, I found a sweet spot and downed him once and for all. Now that that's over, let's head into the capital. As I was making my way through the capital, I got dumped, casually ran past a group of enemies, did some epic rooftop parkour, and landed safely in the streets of Lindell. As I got myself another weapon skill and tried it out, I thought to myself, yeah, this damage ain't gonna cut it. I was starting to get worried, but in my grief, I realized something. This is Knight Bernal. The first time you encounter him, he'll be situated at the War Master's shack, east of Stormvale. Right around here. This lovely lad sells us weapon skills, perfect for all our intensive purposes. Okay, I know what you're thinking. But Chris Crass, you just told us that he's in Limgrave, but the rules state that... Okay, shh, not to worry, I already got that covered. It just so happens that an event triggers once you reach Altus Plateau. This causes Bernal to relocate to Volcano Manor at the peaks of Mount Gelmir, which is by extension part of Altus, giving us full access to Bernal's stash of goodies, much to our convenience. Now, with that out of the way, I hopped on turret and set my sights for Mount Gelmir. I also made sure to pay a visit to all the bosses that happened to pass me by, most notable being the 2 falling star beasts.
Nice.
After reaching my destination, I pledged my allegiance to the Volcano Manor and went to go meet the man himself. He didn't trust me at first, but after going around killing a few people, he was finally inclined to sell me his weapon skills. The skills I bought were Spinning Slash, Upward Cut, Impaling Strike, and Eruption. Alright, it's finally time to go back to killing the main bosses. Next up on the list is the Lord of Piss himself. He looks like a reskin, but is in fact not the reskin of a late game boss who is actually the reskin. Wait, why am I even explaining this to you? I just wasted 5 seconds of your time. Heh. Anyway, at first I opted to use the Eruption weapon skill, because in testing this weapon skill, by far had the highest damage per cast, and it looked the coolest. But in actuality, it proved to be the wrong choice to use for this particular fight. It turns out that more than half of the damage dealt by this skill came from its secondary explosive follow-up, rather than its initial impact. And due to the frequent nature of Godfrey's moveset, I could often get in the first blow, but often get forced to trade hits with some stupid axe swings or stomp attacks. After around 15 minutes, I got fed up and decided to pick up the Upward Cut weapon skill instead. This was my second pick after the Eruption. With this, I was able to deal more sizable chunks of damage in a single blow, and trade hits with the boss less often, slowly whittling down the boss's HP, and eventually amounting to my victory. Don't stop now. Let's keep rolling. Next stop, Omen King. For this fight, I gave Eruption another shot and slapped on the Hardened Leaden tier, as well as the Flame Shrouding Crack tier for increased poise and fire damage respectively. As for Morgott, even though being a harder boss, his moveset actually proved to be much more manageable to deal with. He would have many deadly combos and roll catches, but at the same time he'd had many openings that could be easily punished directly afterward. Taking advantage of this, I was able to successfully land the majority of my hits without having to trade too many hits with the boss. Though that being said, I would still misread a lot of his tells and be severely punished for it. Like when I thought that combo string had ended and tried to capitalize on it, he'd just cancel me out mid-animation with a follow-up. And also, shout out to those Omen Eruption attacks that got me 3 times in the second phase. I never even knew some of his attacks could trigger that up until this fight. But alas, a few tries later, and Morgott was down for the count. I honestly found this fight to be way easier than the Godfrey fight, since I didn't find this fight too difficult and killed him within 5 attempts. Anyways, as I was denied entrance to the Earth Tree, Melna came back to cheer me up. I knew you'd be back. With Morgott dead, we can move on to the next region, the Mountaintop of Giants. Wait. Before we continue down the main path, there's a few things I wanted to try out. Return to Volcano Manor, continue doing the quest line, accept Bernal's invitation, have an epic 2v2 confrontation. And there we have it. That is how you get yourself the famous Raging Wolf set. Arguably the drippiest armor set in the game. Alright, let's try it out. How do we look? Nice. Wait, I don't really like the cape. Let me just... There we go. Perfect. I then went to go get Morgoth's Great Rune. Okay, one last thing. While I was collecting golden seeds off screen, a little bit before fighting Godfrey, I came across the scarab in Caelid that dropped me the double slash weapon art. Doesn't it look familiar? That's right. It's identical to the Rivers of Blood weapon skill, but without the cool blood after effects. And it's slightly slower. Interesting. Anyways, I slapped on the cold affinity and rushed back to Redmane Castle. With the Rivers of Frost in hand, I challenged Radahn once more. Alright, big boy. Let's do this. Oh. Oh, he's already dead. I guess Rivers of Blood is OP no matter what it's on. After wishing upon a falling star, off to the next region I went. This part of the run, I decided that I wanted to get through this region as fast as possible. Why? Because everything here hits like a truck, and I hate it. So let me just run past you, Mr. Gargoyle. Rest at the grace. Oop. Controller disconnected. Okay, I honestly didn't really do much in this region. It just sort of went like, grab this, cross an epic looking bridge, enter Castle Soul, grab this, cross Frozen Lake, grab this, this, grave robbing, cross another epic looking bridge, and finally, get this. Alright, let's see what we're working with. Oh, that's not good. Maybe I'm just being a bit too pessimistic. Let's give it a few more tries.
15 minutes later.
Okay, I'll say this with the utmost honesty and respect when I say that this weapon skill is garbage. I didn't know a weapon skill this slow could even exist. It's so slow that even the fire giant, the freaking fire giant, can dodge this thing. And consistently too. Certainly there's gotta be another weapon skill that I could attach to my sword. Oh, there's none? Well, shit. Hang on. There's one more. Phantom Slash. But this requires me to use a halberd. Okay, let's get a halberd. Alright, so choose a random halberd from my inventory, need halberd Vare, kill myself 3 times, go to the 4 belfries, not ignore the graphic scion this time. Bloody napkin. Clench my teeth. Backstage pass. Okay, now it's time to farm. Oh, and for anybody wondering, I can use the Flame of the Redmane's weapon skill here because Mugwin Palace is located directly underneath Caelid. So yeah.
Many hours later.
Okay, now that I've upgraded this halberd, let's try this again. Well, at least I can actually hit him now. That's an improvement. Cue the montage. I have been fighting this guy for the past 4 hours. I'm not sure whether it was the fact that I was level 83 in the Mountaintop of Giants, that I was misinformed and thought that the fire giant was weak to fire, that I was too chicken to try and attack his arms in the second phase, that my weapon was too upgrade short, or maybe it was all of the above. The fights were long and exhausting, being able to reach 10 minutes each attempt. I knew I could do it. No, I could do it. Given how close some of my attempts were, I might as well actually killed him, if not for one too many mishaps. I've had it. I didn't feel like redoing this fight any more than I already have. I didn't want to do this, but... Seppuku. Plunge the blade deep into your stomach to stain it with blood. Increases attack power and improves ability to inflict blood loss. Now, I can't exactly damage him directly by tapping left trigger, since it's a buff and not an attack. Hence the reason why I didn't want to use it in the first place. So instead, in order to deal damage using the weapon skill, I would have to resort back to using R1. But to counteract this, if only by a little, I decided that I could only attack whenever the buff is active, meaning I would have to constantly rebuff my sword every time the effect wore off. Forgive me. Finally, it's over. Honestly, I felt a bit reluctant when it was time to start editing this part of the video. This part of the run is where I struggled the most, and going through all this footage again really jogged my memory of all the suffering and anguish I had to go through on that fateful afternoon. Anyway. So, Melina, how exactly do we burn down a tree this big?
Are you to commit?
Ready as I'll ever be. Wait, what are you doing?
Thank you for guiding me here.
I'm not crying. You're crying. I woke up in Crumbling Farum, Azula, lit the bonfire, and went to go take a nap. I had literally been gaming for 6 hours straight, and I'm pooped. How do streamers even do it? Literally on another level. Alright, after a good night's rest, I wake up the next day and continue where I left off. Now, where were we? Crumbling for Azula. Right. That means that the next boss is... Worry about that later. First, let's get ourselves a weapon skill. There's only one. And it's a drop from defeating Bowling Ball and Slingy. Hang on. Now that I think about it, in the Altus Plateau, there's a lone Godskin Apostle boss, and after defeating him, he drops his weapon, the Godskin Stitcher. And the default weapon skill on that weapon is the same one found after defeating the Foreskin duo. I'm a genius. Now let's upgrade this bad boy, test it out. Yeah, I think I can work with this. I retract my statement. I can't work with this. So, since there's another version of Farum Azula located in Caelid, let's just say that if Crumbling Farum Azula wasn't floating in the sky and was still attached to the ground, it would most likely be in Caelid. You know what else is in Caelid? Hehehe. The set weapon skills of somber weapons technically still count. Since the weapons themselves are found in their own respective region, that would mean that the same would be applied to the weapon skill attached to said weapon, making it within boundaries of this challenge run. I actually could have used any somber weapon I wanted at any given point of this run, but I decided not to, as it would give the run more depth by focusing on the Ashes of War system. Now that I think about it, while editing this, I realized that I actually could have used Rivers of Blood on the Fire Giant. Wait. I'll be right back. Die, you ugly piece of... Alright, I'm back. Where were we again? Alright. Saint Trina's Sword. Applying the same rules as Seppuku, I can only attack when the buff is active. Even so, this fight actually still took me around 30 minutes to beat. The mist alone usually wasn't enough to put one of the boys to sleep, so I had to take matters into my own hands. I also found out that if you get hit even once while the buff is active, it will immediately deactivate, forcing me to run back and rebuff my weapon. Ah, whatever. I'm using sleep anyway. I'm just coping at this point. Okay. From this point on, I promise there'll be no more excessive bending of the rules. Promise. Godskin down, time for Malekith. I immediately make my way towards the next point of interest, making only short pit stops to pick up a few items, and bam, here we are, right in front of the boss arena. But first, no more sleepy sword for me. I feel dirty just holding this thing. For this fight, we'll be welcoming an old friend, the Rivers of Frost. Oh, come on. I honestly never really found this fight to be all that difficult. I've heard stories about him being the absolute hardest boss, second to Malenia of course. I, for one, personally never had any issues beating this boss up until this point. Sure, he deals an insane amount of damage, but he's a glass cannon, and he usually goes down before you even know it. I say usually because this time he actually beat my ass for an hour straight. Anyway, this fight mostly consisted of me being too greedy and getting punished for it, wishing I leveled up Vigor a bit more, and just sucking at this game in general. The second phase was alright. I just needed to be more patient and bait out more punishable attacks. But most notably, there was this lightning fast double slash that he'd do fairly common throughout the first phase. This attack would catch me off guard and severely punish me for misreading his tells, and by far gave me more trouble than any other attack in his arsenal. But nonetheless, a bit of luck and a few frost procs later, Malekith was no more, and the Rune of Death was mine.
My skin is pale, but I'm a black sheep. Riding through the city, Satan in the backseat. Hey yo, that's me, I run it like a track meet. A rap fiend, I set the bar high like an athlete. Step in the booth and Zach gon' drop that 808. Cause the vibe is dope and the beat is cracking, now it's getting laced. I'm sharp as a razor blade, I can blow your mind like JFK. I do what I want, you ain't gonna box me in like David Blaine. We get it poppin', homie, day and night. Got the party jumping, about to break the ice. Stay up on my grind, that's my way of life. I got tunnel vision, I'ma chase that ray of light. Stay up on my grind, that's my way of life. I got tunnel vision, I'ma chase that ray of light.
Destined death. To kill what?
Is it just me, or does this place seem a little bit dead? Anyways, as I sensed that the end of the run was within grasp, I wasted no time and dashed straight towards the next boss. Wait, who was it again? Probably wasn't important anyway. Since the final stages of this game takes place in the capital once more, I will once again be able to access all the weapon skills that I have previously used in this region. Yes! But then, before heading towards the next boss, I remembered something. Hey buddy, how you doing? I know. Let's do this.
You are ready then? Then let us begin.
I am the great Joe. I am Alexander. Let strength
As I suspected, victory was impossible. This vessel was found lacking. My thanks. I knew you were the stuff of champions. It was a marvelous battle. I implore you, take what I bequeath from inside me. All vessels are destined to one day break. But the great Alexander lived as a warrior to his last.
Sleep well, dear friend. Anyways, next up, Horalu. After a quick trip to the wiki and finding out that the first Elden Lord's weakness is lightning, I equipped the Thunderbolt weapon skill, equipped the Lightning Shrouding cracked tier, and went to work. The damage was under average. Could I have used a better weapon skill? Maybe. But was I down for a long, hard-fought battle against one of my top 3 favorite bosses in Elden Ring? Hell yeah. I didn't really have anything else to do anyway. So why not? Also, his theme? Oh, I don't mind listening to this for a few hours. The fights were long, but really fun. It was super satisfying dodging his attacks and finding the opportune moments to strike back. Over time, I managed to figure out exactly which attacks to look out for and use to my advantage. In the first phase, these were the double axe swing, forward strike, his crazy arena-wide AoEs, forward thrust, and full body swing. When the second phase rolls around, I would switch to a more defensive style of play, dodging more frequently and looking out for a grab attack, and once again, any of his arena-wide AoEs. Anyways, can I take the time to mention how cool this fight is? In the first phase, you face off against the first Elden Lord, practically the same as the Golden variant, but with a few power-ups, and a really cool Earthquake move. But in the second phase, he just starts oozing Giga Chad energy. You go from fighting the king of a lost age to a bloody WWE superstar that will literally launch you straight into the stratosphere and send you falling back down again. And the fact that you meet him right in front of the Earth Tree just gives this fight so much substance. It's just so... Get the gist yet? I love this fight. Anyhow, after an hour of suplexes and earthquakes, the first Tarnished has been defeated. The second Elden Lord is next. Marika, do I really have to beat up all of your exes before ascending to Elden Lord myself? Before taking this fight seriously though, I went to go get the Haligtree Talisman +2, and spent a few attempts testing out all the potential weapon skills for this fight. Then, I made a decision. The final weapon skill that I will be using for this run will be Impaling Thrust. Decent speed, decent damage, decent range. Although I very much prefer its much cooler, much more deadly cousin, Giant Hunt, this weapon skill had the perfect balance between damage and speed, a symbol of what a weapon skill should be, and a fitting final weapon skill. As for the fight, Radagon was still that aggressive red-haired douche with semi-infuriating golden AoEs. What? But what I really want to talk about right now is the Elden Beast. A sizable chunk of the community really hates this guy. And I get why. He spends most of his time spamming spells at you at a distance, and you spend most of your time chasing after him. And that really ticks a lot of people off. I personally love this fight. Sure, it can get repetitive, but whenever I'm up against the Elden Beast, I just sort of take it slow and look in awe at the sheer spectacle of this fight. The climactic final battle within the Erdtree against this weird cosmic entity. The boss in the arena has just been so beautifully designed, along with a calming but cinematic boss theme. I just can't hate this boss. But alas, no more tricks, no more backing down. Just me, Radagon, and the Elden Beast. It is time to get good.
Bring me the light, 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 bring me the night is falling. I feel the darkness calling, like I'm afraid to love. No one can see me now. When the night is falling, I feel the darkness calling, like I'm afraid to love. No one can see me now. No one can see me now.
Phew! That was fun. Finally, after all this time, this is it. We have beaten Elden Ring only using weapon skills. This was really an experience you gotta try out for yourself. There were many ups and downs, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it to the very end. I can certainly see why there's been a resurgence of making challenge run videos. They're fun as fuck. Now, for the end of the video. As some of you may recall, at the beginning I mentioned how this was my very first video I have ever made with any sort of effort whatsoever. And that is true. This video took me a very long time to make and had me learn how to use Premiere Pro from scratch. So for any of you who made it to this part of the video, I want to sincerely thank you for the time you've taken out of your day to watch my video. It really means a lot to me. This is my first time saying this. This is gonna be so weird. Please leave a like, subscribe, and share this video to anyone who likes Souls games. Oh, and leave a comment on what you think of this run, or what I should do next. Should I do a part 2 where I kill every other demigod using a weapon skill? You decide. Honestly, making this video was so much fun. I already have another one planned right after making this one, so stick around until that drops. Until next time, goodbye.